Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the Shaman Primalist Avalanche Speedrunner. And with this, we're going to be casting Avalanche as a cast and forget so that it will just follow behind us and damage in a decently large area. We'll have Tornado to give us a boost of speed. We'll have Ice Thorns with its ability to be insta-cast every second, doing a little extra damage for us. And basically, we're just going to run as fast as possible through the monos and watch everything die behind us. On top of that, you're going to be very, very tanky. This thing comes with endurance, so you have 60% damage reduction. We have the wings of Argentus on it, and since we're always moving, that's another 40% damage reduction. We have aspect of the boar when we get hit by a melee attack for 5 seconds. That's 30% damage reduction. On top of that, we have the Berserker. In case our life does drop down to a 35% threshold, we get an additional 30% damage reduction. And then we also have some other passives that give us reduced damage from nearby enemies and things like that. And you're just going to see that you don't take very much damage at all. Even when we were in 320 echo streak and we had multiple damaging affixes to the monsters, we had over 400% health and damage, we had a 300% movement in damage, and we had an 800% damage to rare enemies. We're talking a 1200% increase of damage for rares, and they still couldn't kill us. Yes, they did a lot of damage to us, but the fact that you can constantly move and dodge a lot of the things you need to do because of how fast you're moving, and the fact that you're leeching as you do that and getting all of your health back on top of the damage reduction makes it very, very hard for you to be killed as long as you keep moving. So let's go ahead and get into the skills and go over the interactions and exactly how they work. For skills, I'm running Avalanche with +2 levels, Tornado, Summon Thorn Totem, Warcry, and Ice Thorns. For Avalanche, we have this set up so it's completely converted to cold, and it will also get more hit damage when totems are active, which will be all of the time, and we have it set up to be a cast and forget that follows us as we move. So we have 1 point in Mountain Peak, 1 point in Precision, and then 1 point in Wild Path, and this is what makes it no longer a channeled skill. Instead, it gives it a huge mana cost and an 8-second cooldown. Then with 4 points in Unyielding Storm and then 1 point in Hailstorm, the Avalanche that it casts will now follow you as you move around. We then have 2 points in Explosive Impact, 1 point in Mountain's Fury, and then 1 point in Frost, which converts the physical and cold damage to all cold damage. And this is what will help stack the damage up, because you'll get percentage increased cold damage per totem from idols, you'll get additional cold damage inside of the passive trees, and all of that will stack so that you get more damage out of Avalanche altogether. Then we have 3 points in Intensity, so the Avalanches fall faster, 3 points in Stormfront, so you get 15% more boulders. Basically, they drop more frequently for the duration. 1 point in Elemental Bond. This gives a chance for a boulder to convert into a rock elemental, which is going to be a little physical minion that follows you around. We don't really care about this. We just wanted to unlock Grounding, which gives us 45% more hit damage while we have a totem active, which will be all of the time. Then for Tornado, we have Tornado set up to be an instacast and to give us the Aspect of the Storm buff. So we have 1 point in Aspect of the Storm. This is a buff that will give you 10% increased movement speed for 2 seconds. With 4 points in Gust of Renewal, it will also give you 12% mana regen. Then we also get attack speed and cast speed with 3 points in Storm Dervish, and with 3 points in Swift Wings, we make it last for almost 4 seconds. Now, with 3 points in Lasting Storm, 4 points in Hurricane, and then 1 point in Eye of the Storm, we unlock Snapgale, which now makes it into an instacast, and it has a 4-second cooldown. So you're able to instacast it, and you can put it on autocast since it has a cooldown, and you'll have the 100% uptime or 95% uptime of Aspect of the Storm due to it lasting for almost 4 seconds and Tornado now being on a 4-second cooldown. For Summon Thorn Totem, we have this set up. You're going to have idols that have a percentage chance to proc the Thorn Totems every time that you hit an enemy, which is what Avalanche and Ice Thorns will be doing. They'll be hitting lots and lots of times per second. With just one idol, you're going to be proccing a lot of totems. With more than one idol, you'll proc more than you'll ever need, so you definitely want to invest into some other totems as well. But we have it to where it'll proc all 5 at once. So we have 4 points in Forested Expanse, 3 points in Eternal Forest, and 1 point in Grove Mine. allows for all of the totems to be summoned in a ring all at once. And then I went to the left side so we could get some armor shred. So we got 2 points in impale, and then we got 5 points in shred armor, which gives all of your thorn totem projectiles a 100% chance to shred armor. And then with 2 points in winged thorns, they go further, and 2 points in frenetic attunement makes them cast more of the projectiles quicker. Then for Warcry, we have this set up to give us a big boost of cold damage, critical strike chance. It's also going to only have a 5-second cooldown instead of 10-second. It will apply bleed and will be invulnerable for 1 second after casting it. So we have 1 point in Staggering War, 1 point in Kinetic Scream, 2 points in Shredding Howl, 1 point in Shallow Breath, 1 point in Juggernaut, 4 points in Deep War, 4 points in Battle Cry, 1 point in Jumon's Wrath, 4 points in Frostclaw, and 1 point in Bringer of Winter. So between Bringer of Winter and Battle Cry, you'll get 200% crit chance, and with Frostclaw, you'll get 200% cold damage. So it's a big boost. It's going to make you do more critical strikes, and it's going to give you more cold damage. So using it whenever you're at a high health rare or at a boss is going to give you a short 4-second duration of boosted damage. And it only has a 5-second cooldown, so you can get 90% uptime of that or 80% uptime of that by just constantly casting it. And then for Ice Thorns, we have this set up to be an insta-cast. It's going to cost us 2 mana per second because we'll be casting it every second at a 2 mana cost, but we have enough mana regen to sustain that. We have 1 point in Anim Affiliate, 1 point in Thorn Shield, 4 points in Bulb Shield, so it has a chance to recast, which is basically just double cast. 1 point in Second Nature, 6 points in Floric Tides. This is what gives it the huge amount of cooldown recovery, so it only takes 1 second for its cooldown. And this also gives you Critical Strike Avoidance, which is really nice. We already have 100% on gear, but if you are lacking some, you can get more Thorn Shield crit avoidance right here, which will allow you with 2 or 3 stacks of it to get 60 to 90% of your critical strike avoidance. Then we have 5 points in Bark Shield, so that we end up getting 140 armor per shield, and 2 points in Eternal Protection, so instead of the shield lasting for 1 second, it'll last for 1.6 seconds. For passives, I have 25 points in the Primalist base class, with 8 points in Natural Attunement, 5 points in Hunter's Restoration, 6 points in Wisdom of the Wild, 1 point in Tempest Bond, and 5 points in Berserker, which is going to give you that 30% less damage taken whenever you fall below 35% health. I have 20 points in the Beastmaster, with 8 points in Ursane Strength, 2 points in Feline Bond, 5 points in Boarheart, and 5 points in Porcine Constitution, so that you get 30% damage reduction when Aspect of the Boar is active. You'll have a guaranteed chance for it to be procced whenever you are hit by a melee attack. It will last for 5 seconds, and it has a 2-second cooldown. And then for the Shaman, the Mastered class, we have 66 points, with 8 points in Shamanic Confusion, 8 points in Tempest Form, 10 points in Windbringer, 5 points in Shattered Heavens, 5 points in Protective Circle, 8 points in Ruin of Awe, 8 points in Elemental Shrines, 6 points in Swirling Maelstrom, and 8 points in Ascendance Circle. For items and idols, for the idols, you want to have at least one idol that has a % chance on hit to summon a Thorn Totem. You only need one. You're going to do enough hits to constantly have your totems active whenever you're doing as many hits as we're doing here, with Avalanche constantly going, Ice Thorns going every second. It's just a lot of hits, which will be enough to have 100% uptime of the Thorn Totems. And then the other one is going to be percentage of damage leached as health on hit. A few of those is going to give you a lot more leech. But again, the most important thing if you're going for damage is going to be the % increase cold damage per active totem. Although not necessary to still do good damage, it is going to be a boost because you'll have 5 totems active, which means that you can get up to 22% increased cold damage, but the one I have here, that's 100% cold damage with uptime. So it's pretty decently powerful, not OP powerful, it's not like a requirement, but it's definitely going to boost the damage of the build. Remember, you can just Warcry and get 200% cold damage, so that in itself is going to be a bigger damage thing than your idols. So remember, it's not necessary. You do have other ways of getting that kind of spell damage and cold damage, but these are kind of the most optimal ones that we're looking for. And then we have one unique gun, which is going to be the Wings of Argentus, which is going to take a while for you to get. It only has a 10% drop rate from an empowered version of the God Hunter, and in order to empower timelines you have to do all of them, then empower it, then go back, then do runs, and then you only have a 10% chance to drop. Now this unique is not a requirement for the build, it's just once you get this unique, or if you have it, it is 40% less damage taken while moving, and you'll constantly be moving except for the split second when you have to cast Avalanche every 8 seconds. So with it you get a huge amount of damage reduction. You're still going to have your 60% damage reduction from Endurance, you're going to have your 30% damage reduction from Boarheart, your 30% damage reduction from Berserker, you're going to have the damage reduction from nearby enemies. You're still going to have all of those, so you'll still be tanky and it'll still be possible to run the Echoes and even do the empowered version of God Hunter without this until you get it. But once you get it, that's when you're going to be able to push the furthest. And then for the crafted items, I'm just going to hover over all of these really quick. For the most part, we're just stacking endurance. You can get all of your elemental resist and your physical resist from having the 5 Thorn totems active, so you don't have to build any of those 4 resistances on your gear. If you'd like to take a closer look at the gear, it'll all be in the gear planner, which will be on the written guide, which I'll have a link in the description of this video. And then for the character sheet, as you can see, as soon as I summon, I'll just summon my Thorn totems here so you can see, you'll notice that we are capped on almost all of our resistances. We're a little low on necrotic, a few percent missing off poison, but you're going to have 100% uptime of your Thorn totems, and that's what's going to cap out all of your resistances for you. And then for our damages, as you can see, we don't run very much spell damage. We don't have a whole lot of cold damage, only 93%, but you have 2 things that are going to boost that. So once again, let me put the Thorn Totems back on. When you cast the Thorn Totems, you'll notice you get a big portion of spell damage thanks to your passives. You get a lot of cold damage increase. That's going to be due to your idols. And then of course you have Warcry, which by itself will also give you another 200% of that cold damage. And that's going to be, with the 2 together, is going to give you a total of 600% cold damage, and that's where a lot of the damage comes from. On top of that, we have a pretty decent amount of critical strike multiplier, and when you do use Warcry, your critical strike chance for spells will jump all the way up to 60%, so you'll be doing a lot more crits, over half of them, once you have Warcry active. And then for the skill rotation and how to play the build, like I said, it's a full autocast build. You don't have to play it that way, but that's how I play it. I put Avalanche on autocast, Ice Thorns on autocast, and Tornado on autocast. Once they're on autocast, all you're going to do is just continue to keep running around. All you have to do is, again, keep running. You get that 40% damage reduction from the chest. Avalanche will follow you everywhere you go. It's got pretty good AoE, as you'll see. It crits and hits pretty decent. We're doing anywhere from 10 to 20k crits with it. And then, of course, you have Warcry, so when you get to a high health mob and you want some more crits and you want some more damage, you just pop one of those, and you'll notice that you're going to get more crits, you're going to get more damage, and you're going to be clearing things just a little bit faster. But that's it. Literally, you just point your mouse and you just run, and every 8 seconds you'll automatically stop to recast Avalanche. That's the only thing that will stop you. And you can see that when you're actually hitting a target, so like us hitting the dummy, you get a lot of totems. Like, we only have the 1 idol to proc it, and you can see you get plenty of them. You're getting hits with both Avalanches coming down and with Ice Thorns being fired every second, so you'll have 100% uptime of those totems, no problem. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some more gameplay, and as always, stay safe, travelers.